Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. How is everybody doing this evening? This beautiful Sunday evening. The weather was great. Everything is going smooth. I just want to say, let's see, let me get all my Facebook folks on. Give me one quick second just to make some switches, and we should be good. So, hello, 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 everyone out there. This is Lisa Marie Eard with Campus Bound GPS, where we help students and parents navigate the college application process. And let me load this down. Okay, there we go. And we're in October Tips. October Tips, where every day, every single day in the month of October, we present to you an expert, and an expert can be me because I've gone through the college application process. An expert can be students, parents, professionals in the field who work with the college application process, anyone who is here to serve you as you go through the college application process in its entirety from start to finish. So we're looking at anything from, let's see, we had someone speak about athletes and the athletic process. We had folks speak about starting young. We had someone earlier this week about, the college application process, start them young, what to do in preschool. And today, we're going to stay along those lines because I have a mom and daughter duo. I call mom my sister because I've known her for a bit, and our children actually went through high school and college actually together. And it's been an amazing journey. She is a mom extraordinaire, and her daughter, Amanda, is a process engineer, but she'll go through and talk about what she studied. But we're going to start a little earlier. So for those students, and this can be our students who are in freshman in high school, sophomore in high school, junior in high school, and possibly, I'd even go possibly a little younger, because when you think about choosing your right campus, being exposed to a college campus, being exposed to the things that go into it. Wait a minute. I just realized I didn't introduce myself. So I'm going to back up a little bit because I just got excited. I really got excited about this topic. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Lisa Marie Eard. I am the Collegiate Success Coach for Campus Bound GPS. And you heard my spiel. We help students and parents navigate the college application process. And I do come from a parent perspective. I am a parent of two distinctly unique children, as children are, who went through the college application process. They were also athletes, and they led different paths in order to go through the college application process. So we know there are different paths, different journeys, and I'm here today with my sister friend, Zerell Johnson Welch, and her daughter, Amanda Welch, to talk to you about a way to go. So let me begin with Amanda. Amanda is a recent college grad. I still can say recent.
Yeah.
From Virginia Tech. She graduated from Virginia Tech in the field of engineering.
Mm-hmm.
So, yep. Amanda, I want you to introduce yourself, say a little bit about yourself, and then we'll go to your mom.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amanda Welch, like you heard, and that is my lovely mom in, I think, the top corner of your screen. I am a process engineer for CarMax at their home office in Richmond, Virginia. I graduated from Virginia Tech with a bachelor's degree in industrial and systems engineering with a minor in theater arts. Love getting the left side and the right side of my brain a workout in college. And I did a whole bunch of stuff in high school that kind of led me down that path and led me to where I am right now. So I'm really excited to talk to you guys a little bit about what my journey looked like and just some cool tips on how to navigate the process as you're looking at colleges.
Awesome. Thank you, Amanda. And now we're going to move to Mom Extraordinaire. Zerell is the mom of not only Amanda, but two other STEM students. So that title extraordinaire is exceptional. So Zerell, you'd like to introduce yourself?
Thank you for having me, Lisa. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, I can hear
Can
you
you still
now.
hear me?
Yes. There you go.
Can you still hear me? Okay. Can you still hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear
Okay,
you. You're
I can hear
great.
you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Lisa. There was a little bit of a delay in the voice pickup. Yes, I identify myself as a mom because I think that is absolutely the most important thing that I was designed purposely to do. And to I have three children, two daughters. One is, as you said, Amanda Welch. She's an engineer. I have another daughter who's completing her last year of medical school at UVA and looking to actually be picked up into a residency program. So we're keeping our fingers crossed in the next couple of months on how that fares out. And my youngest is a software developer, a graduate from UVA as well. So yeah, I've got three kids definitely in the STEM. And I probably would say, people ask me, how did I do that? I kind of say, yeah, I didn't plan it, but I was very intentional about, exposing them to disciplines where you have generally a lot of unrepresented students in those areas.
Nice. Okay, Amanda.
Yes.
We're going to turn to you and ask you or talk, have you share your tip because what we're talking about today is exploring your campus, your college campus, your university campus with pre-college camps. Can you explain what that is and talk a little bit about it?
Yeah. So when you're looking at different colleges, it's quite overwhelming. I had a very, I'm going to call it expansive list of schools I was looking for. I think I was looking at 14 different schools at one point, and they all had the degree I was looking for. That was the first thing I started with, narrowing down just which schools had the degree and which schools I felt comfortable going towards near family. But another thing that I looked at was what kind of pre-college programs that the schools had to kind of get my toes wet within my degree program that I wanted to look at. I wasn't completely set on the specific field of engineering yet. I had an idea of what I wanted to, but those pre-college programs really helped me kind of narrow the decision down and feel more comfortable in my decision. And it also kind of gave me a look at what college was going to look like when I got there. It's a little different than what it looks like on TV, just a little. And it was really nice to have that kind of ramp up into college where I got to see campuses, see just how students looked like when they were walking into class and kind of demystify the image of it. But really it was to get me in front of different professors and to different universities and just get a feel for what I was going to experience when I went to the university that I ended up choosing. So I went to a couple. I think I distinctly remember at least 4 different schools that I went to before I actually went for my freshman year at Tech. So it's pretty exciting.
Nice. Okay, so Mom, what was your role during this process?
Well, I love the way my daughter says, I did. I'm going to be absolutely honest with you and let you know that I'm kind of the person who seeks out a lot of resources. And so I started, looking and talking to people and actually getting on some of the local colleges and seeing what they offered a lot of the students that were prospectively thinking about applying, because a lot of the colleges do a lot of ramp up. They recruit from sometimes, 9th, 10th. And if they can court you from those years previously in high school, then it really kind of helps you set up a good relationship. So every one of my children were required to spend a weekend, if they offered a weekend or if they offered a day, to actually join the university or go to a local event so they could learn a little bit more. And my kids will tell you I was probably the bag lady that walked around with all of the information and made friends with people who were at recruitment tables and got their business cards and whatnot. And when they said, hey, give me a call if you need more information, I was probably that mom who did. I think it's really important for the kids to not only identify the schools that, fit what they think they need. And I say that what they think they need on purpose, because sometimes not until they're exposed do they realize, oh gosh, this is what I really would like to do. But I think it's also great to build relationships with people who are already in this campus environment, so that you can build mentorship and have someone to kind of class onto when you actually go down. So Amanda did participate in, I believe, a Latino weekend. She participated in quite a few, and I got to speak to the people who were head of those programs as well. And so be able to give Amanda a name or two when she went down there, who she actually could connect with if she was having some challenges, or if she just needed some particular feedback. I think one of the things that's is excellent about those programs is it helps the students identify their strengths, but more importantly, their weaknesses too, so that they can develop when they pick their coursework. They can kind of get an idea. Wow, I thought I was really good in math, but maybe I could use some supplemental classes that might help me when I actually go in and sign up for my first set of semester classes. So I think there's a great opportunity to be exposed, a great opportunity to build relationships, and a great opportunity to kind of see where your strengths and weaknesses lie.
Interesting. So how early can a student be a part or participate in one of these programs?
So let's see. I think that they were, if I recall, Amanda, I think that they were recruiting kids from 10th, 11th, and 12th grade that you can actually go down. And it's just a matter of saying, hey, do you offer, a pre-look weekend? I know my daughter is doing that, the one that's in medical school. She hosts quite a few students who are doing pre-look weekends, where they come down for the weekend and they're hosted by a student that's already there. I did it as a college student many years ago, had a pre-look. And so that was kind of still in my head. And so they do offer them. We're out of the loop right now, but I'm sure if parents actually check the schools, they can actually find out that, do they offer. And lots of times it's at no cost to the families, which I actually is pretty cool too.
That's nice. Okay, Amanda. So tell us about your experience.
Yeah. So I have a unique experience because I did a lot of them when I was going through the process. But then when I was in college, I stayed very close to the organization and the department that held those programs. So I got to see students in my position and help them out in the same way that I got help. Virginia Tech specifically has something called PCI, which is a pre-college initiative, where they try to build a pipeline of students in STEM fields before they get to college, because studies show that the earlier you get kids into those programs, the more successful they're going to be when they get to school. So helping out on that end of it too was great. But honestly, my mom was the pusher for a lot of this, say pusher lovingly. And I was outgoing, but I was very nervous going to those programs. And there were times where I was like, rather not do this than putting myself out there in a way that I just didn't feel comfortable with yet. But I think my lucky stars that I just took the leap and got everything I could out of those programs, because like my mom said, I did have those relationships built when I went to university. And even when I decided on a specific university and got into an organization that had branches and chapters at other universities that I had toured at and visited, I was able to talk to people at those universities and said, hey, I was in a program before I went to college at your school, and build on those relationships there. So they were amazing opportunities where you'd go for a weekend, maybe stay with a student in a dorm. Some opportunities were we just came for a day and I was with my parents and got to walk around the campus and go to kind of like a career type fair thing of the different majors. There was one where I got to go for a week where I just went for 8 hours in a day and got to do a STEM program and build robots every day at the campus. So there were so many different ways. And usually colleges have something called like pre-college insert word. Virginia Tech is pre-college initiative, but pre-college programs that they try to reach out to students that are in high school and build those relationships, give them an opportunity to see the college and get acclimated to just the vocabulary that colleges use that is very different than what they use in high school.
So mom extraordinaire, what advice would you give parents listening, especially being the mom of 3 STEM students as they went through their journey? And let's take it back a notch, because this is a question I'd asked a young lady who was a rocket scientist on my program last year. And just hearing, what kind of support did you give your children as they were growing up?
The idea that they can do it. That's the premise. And I say that, and it sounds so simple, but it's such a loaded concept, and it fuels so much in terms of belief in yourself. And so, yeah, I never told the children that it was going to be easy. And there's no expectation, but if you work hard and we can find you the resources to support the journey, yeah, I didn't want them to take no for an answer. I heard a lot of no growing up. I heard a lot of, oh, maybe you should try this and not do this. And I didn't believe that. I believe that everyone is very equally given talent, but access and opportunity are not the same. And so with that mindset, I really kind of forged forward to be this parent who was going to be visible, engaged, and be the counter voice to when the kids started to doubt themselves and when people started to doubt them. And that it feels itself on so many levels, not just in college preparation, but all the way through the journey of academia and education, that kids can believe that they can see themselves in a specific space and that they have the tools to get there. So there wasn't anything magical, so to speak, that I pulled out and read a book and said, this is going to do. But I definitely committed to the idea that these kids need to hear the voice that they can do this. And then we need to be present as parents, present from the beginning all the way to the end. So when that degree is conferred, and Lisa, you know this, we are up there taking that degree ourselves. Okay. So yeah, there was nothing magical. I just didn't take no for an answer. And my kids will tell you that. And also building children that are not just resilient, but accountable for their actions. Because, you know, kids can say something is hard and whatnot. Then you want to ask them, are you doing your best? Because I'm there for you if you do your best. I can be there for you and I can go in and support you with the teacher issue and whatnot. But are you doing your best? Okay, because I do believe the educational process is collective with regards to the school, the student, and the parent. And you know, we all, Lisa, made the choice to come out to our school district, Loudoun County Public Schools, because, you know, we do know, unfortunately, the world still exists where the education that our child get is often dictated by the zip code that they have. So I wasn't going to sit out here, you know, and know that there's all these amazing resources and know that my kids were not going to be able to take advantage of it. So you know, that's where you and I met. We dived in really early. And we're all at the parent teachers and tried to figure this out and, you know, inspired our kids. So I guess if I had to say it, no, just wasn't, I didn't take no for an answer. And I think that kind of sums it up.
Great. Amanda.
Yeah.
As a STEM student, I know we didn't talk about this too much, but how early did you realize that you wanted to go into the field of engineering, and especially being a young lady in the field of STEM? I think that is an amazing accomplishment as also an African-American young lady, you know, and industrial engineering at that. So let me hear your story.
Yeah. Let's start off with my mom, because honestly, like, it all starts with my mom. She didn't the no was just not a thing. The accountability part was one. My mom told us we could do hard things. So when I felt like I couldn't do a hard thing, she was always there going, I don't have unintelligent kids. So it's not going to work. I didn't think when I was going in school, I knew I was smart. It didn't come super easy to me. I had to really work for it. And especially in my math and science classes, I struggled in those classes way more than I struggled in in my literature classes or art classes or anything else. At some point I was like, I want to be a publicist. And my mom was like, that's fine. You like reading. That's cool. Have you thought about science and math? And I was like, but I want to be a publicist. I liked crime shows. So I was like, maybe I'll be a forensic anthropologist. And my mom was like, okay. So we found some program working at a community college. So I went and did a semester of criminology. Like I got a semester course in criminology, and that was amazing. I realized quickly that that's not the specific field that I should be going into because I don't have the stomach for it besides watching it on TV. So, but I did like the science part of it. I did like the objectivity of it. Me and my siblings joke, we grew up with two parents who are lawyers, so wanted to go into something with a little less gray area than what they brought us up in. So math and science definitely filled that. In terms of engineering specifically, I remember the first time my mom said, hey, do you want to look at engineering? And I said, nope. Why would I want to do that? The only people who do that are boys, and all they do is build trains. And my mom looked like I had 3 heads at me, and she was like, I must have done something wrong. Like, what? That's the answer that you gave me? So she dropped me off at the library and said, come back when you have a better answer of what an engineer does. And I spent the afternoon researching engineering, and I came back with a better answer. There was a lot more than just building trains, and girls did it too. So I started diving more into engineering and realized there were a bunch of different ways and you could be an engineer. It didn't just have to be civil engineering, which was the stereotypical view, or mechanical that I had in my head. I also knew that there was a lot of engineering that had to do with computers, but I didn't like the fact that computer engineering had you behind a computer screen all the time. I wanted to interact with people. I knew I love to talk. I am my mother's daughter like that. I love interacting with people and creating relationships. So I picked the field of engineering that gave me the best of both worlds. Industrial and systems engineering works with the very techie side of things, but also bridges that gaps from a business perspective and is kind of the middleman translator for a lot of technical aspects to the business world. So I deal a lot with people all the time in that field. And that's really kind of how I got into specifically engineering. I had no desire at first, and my mom was like, but what about this? Like, let's make sure you looked at everything before you say no to something. And I found a field that I love. So
what I like about your story is the fact that you said when you started in high school, math and science was not a strong suit.
yeah.
And a lot of students today may feel that engineering is not an option because math and science are not their strong suit.
Yeah.
Any advice?
It's not how smart you are. It's how hard you work. I heard once Will Smith say this actually, and it was like, I may not be the smartest person out there, but you're never going to outwork me. That is the work ethic that my family brought us up in. You don't have to be the most brilliant person in the world, but you do have to do the work. You do have to put in the time and not take no for an answer. So you're not getting it the first time. That means you need to figure out a different way to understand the information. It's not working with this professor. See if you can go get tutored. See if you can go to office hours. There was never just, okay, this isn't working, then this is where it's going to stop. I'm a very persistent person, and it works out in my favor a lot of times. And sometimes I'm just going down with a burning ship. But I am very persistent. And even in school, when I was in college, it took me 6 years to graduate with my engineering degree. And that was a very tough experience because I felt like I was behind, but I was an RA as well, and helping other people on their journey fills me up and helps me feel like I'm doing good in the world. Letting my residents who are females in engineering know that, yes, I'm struggling, but I'm still going. Like, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. They were struggling with some courses that I knew I struggled through, and I didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. You don't have to be the smartest person. You just have to work hard. And that's the most important thing you need to learn. You don't have to sleep with a physics book by your bedside table. That's not what you need to eat, sleep, and breathe to be a successful engineer or to make it through your engineering program. You just need to work hard and don't take no for an answer.
Great advice.
Also, one of the things you want to consider too is taking advantage of the resources. There's so many resources of support at your school that lots of students may not know. And my kids will tell you, and Amanda will attest to this, is that I did not want them to wait when they got into school for their first exam to visit a tutor. I wanted them to find a tutor the first week of school. I wanted them to go to the dean of students or to the African American, academia support office, whatever offices you could find, and figure out where the tutors are and find your tutor ASAP. Anticipate that, there may be a way that you actually think you understand and have a good grasp of information. And then you find out on your first exam, oh, I didn't really get that. And by that time, that exam is already 50% of your grade. So grabbing a tutor quickly is very smart. And also quickly and early, and before the rest of the world realizes that they need tutors, then you don't have to, because you've already made a relationship and have a tutor already. A lot of times those tutors are really higher level students. The costs are nominal, and some of them are free. And because you might have come in under a scholarship program, those tutoring services are actually at no cost at all. So that was one of the things I wanted the kids to be kind of proactive about. Also proactive in terms of mentors and also a schedule. They needed to have a schedule before they started school. While they were in school, I required them. I didn't bother them for the first, 3 weeks, Amanda?
3 weeks.
Well,
3 weeks.
We talked a lot, but I needed them to have a study schedule. And the study schedule, I remember this because I learned all these rules after I graduated and completely blew up myself as an undergraduate. But someone said to me, you've got to have for every credit hour class, you have to have allocated 3 hours of studying. And Lisa, you and I know that when you go to college, you think you have all this time in the world compared to what it was in high school. And then you realize that is the biggest joke in the world, because you are in class less, but the expectation is that you're studying more. Okay. And we don't ever, kids don't get that opportunity. And that's why one of these pre-programs or pre-summer programs is so important, because it demystifies, some of the things you need to do in order to be successful in school. I'm not an advocate of going in and even as a science major and taking all these hard classes as a college student right away. I think that potentially could be a suicide bomb, because you don't know how these teachers teach yet. You don't know exactly, what kind of support you're going to need. And then you find out that your first exam is a D and you're like, oh my gosh, where it could have been avoided. So definitely the resources, and also making a schedule. Schedule your time and stick to your schedule. Get into a groove and a routine of breaks. That's what the kids were required. I didn't want to bother them about how things were going, but I required them to each send me a schedule after 3 weeks of school or 2 of what it looked like. So I would know that they knew when it was time to study. And it's not something rocket scientists, it's offered. I think, Amanda, even your Virginia Tech had a class that they gave you that you were required to teach you how to be in school.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think I remember that for sure.
A lot of things that, and those are those pre-college programs, like the one that living and learning communities at Virginia Tech, you could go into so many different ones and live amongst peers that are studying the same thing that you are doing. And in engineering, I cannot tell you how invaluable that is, because the engineering life is very unique. So you need to find your tribe and lean on them. It is easier to tackle things in a group setting than by yourself. There's no point in banging yourself over your head on a math problem by yourself when you could go talk to a friend and work through it together. But there were classes through that program that taught you how to make a schedule. There were classes even for people who were not in engineering. I think it was called Hokie Horizons when I was going through the class. And they taught you how to not mess up your freshman year of school. And taking those classes and taking them seriously were very important. That schedule, I am now the Google Calendar person in my family because I get on everyone like it was on the calendar. Like that's what like look for the information there. But it's because I know that's another thing. The discipline, natural discipline that you need to be successful doesn't come naturally to me. I'm more of a free-spirited person and an idea here. Let me go look at this. I have to have that structure. And my loving parents knew that about me going into school and knew that I was going to blow up in my face if I did not get a handle on it. Also studying in my bedroom. That was one of the list of things that I was not to do when I got to school because again, they watched me in high school fall asleep studying in my bedroom every day that I tried to do it. But yeah, getting a schedule and getting those resources very early. Like I have a million examples at Tech, but for 1,000, which are most of your freshman year classes, and 2,000, so your sophomore year classes, all of those classes have free tutoring services available. When you get to 3,000 and 4,000 level classes, that's a little bit more here or there. And some of them they offer you times where you can pay and set up a different way. But for every 1,000 and 2,000 level class, they have free tutoring through the Student Success Center. I felt so awkward going and asking for help. And that's just a personal thing. Learn how to ask for help and do not feel weird about asking for help. Everybody needs help at a certain time. And that was what I used to write on my notebooks at one point. The studying and the feeling like I am the only one asking for help is not as bad as failing this class. And that's what I had to tell myself. The feeling of failing a class and knowing you have to repeat it because you didn't ask for help when you should have is so much worse, and it wrecks so much more than just going and asking for help and doing it early.
So there's a lot of great nuggets. I've been trying to pencil things in as you say, but there are so many. And I want to take some of the nuggets that you talked about entering college and kind of revert them back to being in high school.
Yeah.
Because right now there are those students who are going through the college application process who some may not be sure about what disciplines they want to study and may have aspired. I remember a young man who was in community college and asked me about this transition program that I had, transitioning from high school to college. He wasn't sure exactly what he wanted to be. And then he said, well, someone said I should be an engineer. And once again, he had lacked confidence because he had not the best grades in science and math, but it's something that he thought about. And, I actually hooked him up with my son and had my son he was studying, at the time he was studying, let me get this right, material science engineering with goodness, he minored in green engineering and he was studying electrical engineering prior. So he was speaking to this young man and just encouraging him and saying, hey, same thing, you can be whatever you want to be. And I feel like this message, that this conversation that we're having is so meaningful because there is some young man, some young woman who will be looking at this saying, I'm kind of struggling, but engineering could be an option. And if you're studying and you notice that your grades are slipping in math or your grades are slipping in science, well, yes, this is a time when you seek help, get a tutor, and put yourself in a position so that when you're applying to these schools, because they are going to look at your grades and your GPA and so forth, and they're going to wonder, well, we didn't see your strength in math or science. Why should we let you into this program? What are you aspiring to do? And your essay, I know that this wasn't even a part of our conversation, but did your essay speak to your desire to go into engineering?
Yes, mine did. I remember spending so much time, and the fact that I don't remember the specifics of that essay now is very sad to me. But I was so proud of it when I sent that in. I know I did specifically talk about engineering and the desire to be in an engineering program. But one thing that stood out to me that you said was that your math scores not being as strong, and somebody responding back like, why should we pick you if your math scores for engineering aren't strong? That was me. I applied to 14 schools and got into the engineering program at all of them except for one. And that is the school that I ended up graduating from. I did not get into the engineering program at Virginia Tech. And even before, I did not want to go to Virginia Tech. I wanted to go to UVA at first, and I did not get into UVA. That was the one school that I got rejected from. But I didn't get into the engineering program at Virginia Tech. And I said, my mom made me still apply to Virginia Tech. You had gone to the school to see it. You should still apply for it. They have your degree, like just apply. So you have the option. I applied and did not. I got into university studies, which is the general population. I did not get into engineering. And part of that response was, this school doesn't think I can do it. Like, this school didn't think I was up to par with the engineering scores that I needed to have. I think I remember even my mom having a conversation, because of course she met everybody when we went to visit the schools. And she met my mentor at Virginia Tech, Dr. Beverly Watford, who is an amazing force of a woman. And she called her and said, hey, I just want to talk to you. Like, Amanda got in, but she didn't get into engineering. So I want to help her figure out what next steps need to be if this is what she wants to do. And Dr. Watford was like, yeah, her math scores weren't as strong as the rest of our candidates. So offering to see the STEP program as the next option to help me get in. But it was, I wasn't as strong. It showed in my standardized tests. It showed in me. I wasn't as confident in those classes as I was my other classes. But I still, again, didn't take no for an answer. There was always another option. You just have to sit and look and evaluate the options and dig for it. STEP was a way to figure out, hey, what does engineering look like? And I could get into engineering. I could transfer into the College of Engineering. I just had to get really good grades my freshman first semester in order to show that I could rise to that level for the College of Engineering. And that's what I ended up doing. I took classes in STEP. I think the only class I did well in during that STEP program was the engineering course. I got a B+ in engineering. I had to take math and I had to take chemistry. I failed chemistry and I got a D in math. And I got a B+.
Summer program, right?
That was the STEP summer program.
Okay,
and,
what does STEP stand for?
The Student Transition to Engineering Program.
Okay. And this is a program at Virginia Tech.
Mm-hmm. And it's a 6-week program, and you take your freshman first semester classes. But the kicker is those grades don't count towards your GPA. You take the classes, and it's a kind of shock to your system. People are going to stick you on campus. You're going to be a college student. You're going to take these classes and see what it's like to be an engineer. And at the end of those 6 weeks, I was like, wow, I don't know if engineering is really what I need to be doing, because this is really bad. And I was so embarrassed to come home and go, oh, but I did get a B+ in engineering. So I said, there's hope for this plan that I have. But my mom sat me down and was like, so you know what you need to do. If you're going to do this, you need to have a plan on how you do not repeat the same mistakes. Don't fail backwards, fail forwards. Always learn something from everything that you do. I had to make my chemistry class, which I don't like chemistry that much. And it showed in my studying. I spent more time studying the classes that I liked and were easy for me than I spent studying chemistry. And it showed when I got a D. And that even when I came back the first semester, I got a D in the first exam. And I had to tell my mom and go, it's happening again. I don't know what's going on. And she's like, how much are you studying? Are you following your schedule? And I was like, no, I am not. So it's a lot of like candid conversations you have to have with yourself as well while you're going through it. But that pre-college program was really, I credit my success in graduating to being able to take that class and put me on the right path. I needed to have that shock to my system before I got there, because there's no magic pill that like transforms you into a great college student and the proverbial adult from when you graduate high school to when you show up at college. All you're going through is a summer of being thankful that you finished high school. There's no magic pill that turns you into an adult and like makes you know how to do everything. So having a program like that was completely instrumental to my success in being able to then transfer into the College of Engineering and make that the right kind of switch that I needed to in order to be successful. So
thank you for that. And I'm sure a lot of young people are thankful for those words. So Mom, as not only Amanda, but your other children were going through these processes and these, I'll call them, based on the conversation I had yesterday with athletic identity. This is also transitioning from high school to college identity. How do you as a mom support your children?
I think it's really important for us to know the role that we're still parents. You know, even though they're 18, you know, and they feel that they can make a lot of decisions on their own, that we still remember that their decision to go to college, they have some accountability in that decision. And there's a cost and a sacrifice that we all make as a family. So, and Lisa, we all know that, you know, college is not necessarily for everyone, you know, and I think that's an important thing to actually kind of a realization that sometimes we need to come to as well as parents. I know that wasn't an option for me in my household, and it wasn't an option for me. I was a first generation and my kids are second generations, but how to support them. I think understanding to be able to listen and really hear when they're in trouble. And sometimes they don't know they're in trouble. Okay. And I say that to say that, you know, when Amanda was talking about her chemistry exam, her first one, she got a D, and she's like, I did all the homework. I did all the reading. And I said, what was the homework like? She said, well, the homework was like 30 questions you had to have, and I did it all. And I said, so you did 30 questions and it got you a D. So if we're going to get to an A, and we deal with this from a science perspective, how many questions do you need to do to get to an A? And she figured out that's like 100. Get to work. Okay. Also, get a study group. Get with like-minded kids that are focused on whatever, because sometimes you might read something and that's what you get from it. And then you go, oh my gosh, that's not the right thing. Get to a study group that keeps you accountable, and then get a tutor. Okay. And make sure you're putting the work in, and also don't wait till the last minute to ask for help. Those are the things that I think are things that if people kind of figured out that the talent's there, the smartness is there. It's just the supportive resources you need to actually make that happen. And that's the thing. Sometimes my mother used to say to me, gosh, you know, she worked in the hospital, and she's like, you know, those doctors are not extraordinary. They are just like us. Okay. They are not super brainiac or whatever. You are fine. You can do this. And that's exactly how I focused it with the kids. I mean, I kind of, Lisa, we're talking about the same thing, because we did this with our kids. We did it, and we made sure that, you know, we knew they struggled. Amanda's 6-year journey was, you know, designed that way. There was a time on a Sunday she called and we were talking, and then I said to my husband, hey, she doesn't sound good. And he was like, okay, well, call her back. I said, nope, we're not calling her back. Get in the car. We're driving down. And we drove down there and sat at IHOP in the restaurant, must have given that waitress, I don't know how many tips. And we sat there and repurposed her time. We repurposed her time because she was floundering in her schedule and her time. Okay. And you have to do that. He was like, we're driving 4 hours. Yeah, we're driving 4 hours. Yeah, this is what we're doing. You know,
I remember doing that for my daughter.
yeah.
Driving 4 hours to New Jersey and, sitting down and saying, okay, how are we going to get you focused in this class? And I
Right.
think as parents, so what I always say with Campus Bound GPS, we have to understand that in the college application process, we move from being the driver's seat. We are in the driver's seat where we're taking our kids to school, taking our kids to activities and sports and so forth. We're driving them there and doing all the loop-de-loops and making sure that, even though it might be unhealthy, going through a drive-through to make sure that they eat. So it shifts. Whereas now our children are in the driver's seat and we're in the passenger seat, still trying to be a backseat driver at times,
Right.
or hover over at times, but still they're in control of their journey. And we have to create that perspective. But they're also not full-fledged adults. And there's decisions, the decision to go to college, the decision to get their career starts anywhere between 16, 17, 18 years old. And understanding what choice you make has a consequence.
Correct.
And how do we help you? Because we gave birth to you. How do we, recount what you've done and help you emerge from the ashes into?
It's almost like you said, the analogy, we're driving, right? And we're dropping them off, picking them up, and we're driving. And then when we shift to college, they're driving, but we're leaning over, shifting and recorrecting the wheel a little bit. Okay. But now we're in the passenger seat. And then eventually the goal is for them to be solo and for us to actually one day be able to go to sleep while they're driving. And that is amazing. If you can get to that point, then you've done your job with God's help. You've done your job.
Definitely.
For sure.
And I think, that's a great place for us to wrap this up, because there's been so many tips. And let's go back to the original tip and the nuggets. So explore your campus with with pre-college camps, understanding that if you're and I believe it might just be in just about several disciplines, not only STEM, but just understand that there are opportunities for you to go to pre-college activities so that you can explore what it feels like to be in college. I like Zerell when you said children need to be resilient and accountable. You instill that in your children. Amanda, I liked when you said you don't have to be the smartest person, just do the work. And there are so many. One more thing you said, going to these pre-college camps helped to demystify what it felt like being on a college campus. So awesome tips, great information. For those of you who are catching us on the tail end, please #replay, watch the replay, go through this. This is filled with lots of great nuggets, lots of great information, helping you to calm some of that overwhelm that you may be experiencing, especially when it comes to selecting a major. This is more than just visiting your campus type of conversation. It's a conversation to help you gain an understanding of what it can be to select your major. And, everything has a time. Just because college is 4 years doesn't mean, and you should not look at it as a negative, to finish in 5 or 6 years, because you're doing the work. You are going through the process and you're living in your own. And I loved the information that these two women provided to us today. And I just want to say one thing. Any last words? Zerell, Amanda, any last words?
I will say, because I said this to all my residents, who were females in engineering, we're about 30,000 students at Virginia Tech who graduated with a degree every year, which meant that there were about 30,000 different ways to graduate with a degree. Don't get hung up on somebody else's image of what their college process is supposed to look like. There are so many different ways. Just focus on yours and focus on getting everything you can out of your experience. Your journey is your own.
Awesome. Zerell?
As a parent, we're going to feel differently throughout this journey. And it's just important that you remember you are their parents. They have plenty of friends, and they're counting on us to correct and recorrect and be honest and to be there even when they fail, because failure is part of the growing process.
Awesome. So, folks, you heard it here. This is what Campus Bound GPS is all about. Coming from parents, coming from students, having these real conversations, having these family conversations. I am so excited to have, it took a while because I've been inviting them for a couple of years, but we finally made it to the platform. So thank you, Zerell. Thank you, Amanda. This is Lisa Marie Eard with Campus Bound GPS October Tips. Wrapping up day 24 on the journey to 31. I want to thank everyone. And if you have any questions, please drop it in the chat. And we're new to the YouTube thing. So this is also on YouTube. And I want everyone to subscribe to the Campus Bound GPS YouTube channel so that we can get those numbers up. I am so excited to have this, and it will be available. So that's it.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Good night, everyone. And please, please, please be safe.
Good night. Night, Lisa. Take care.
Good night.
Thanks, Lisa.
Bye, Panda.
Bye, Mom.